Hey, cuz, sit up straight. Sit up properly. Have respect for the forum. I can't help that you're upset. All right, y'all. We give praise, esteem, and honor to the living Elohim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach today. Dang, the sitting up listening to the word offend you? You seem to have you know what you came here for. I just guess that means you won't get any treats later. Your attitude offends me. He asking for that bottle. We give praise, esteem, and honor to the living Elohim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. We pick this up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and there they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. For another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There is one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? Muffin, come here. Come here, please. Praise be to you on this day. You could get, come here, please. Psalm 76 and Psalm 61. Didn't I tell you there's a nice big black garbage bag on the floor? So then why would you put that in that full garbage can before there was a chance for it to replace it if you had already been told that there was another place to place your trash? So what you did made no sense, did it? As long as you understand that, you can go on. As long as you know that. Get Psalm 61 first and foremost. Say, hear my cry, O Elohim, attend unto my prayer. For the end of the earth will I cry unto you. And when my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. For you've been a shelter for me, a strong tower from the enemy. I will abide in your tabernacle forever. I will trust in the covert of your wings. I know I mentioned Psalm 76, and I think I did get to most of that completion. Actually, come to Psalm 78. You can hold Psalm 76 briefly for a moment. So, of course, we're talking about dwelling in his tabernacle because there's safety in the place where Elohim is. Now, Psalm 78 is quite long. We usually talk about the things that's at the top of this one here. But we want to talk about certain things that he's going to enumerate things with the wilderness. So just bear with it because this is a long chapter. We get you Ezra chapter 5 because we're going back around under that. And we're going to finish this out as forth as dwelling in this tabernacle. Psalm 78 and 1. Give ear, O my people, to my law, and incline your ears to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable, and I will utter dark sayings of old, which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us. See, come over here. Let's get this Matthew 11 just on the house. Because he's telling you he's uttering dark parables of old. Things that people did not understand. I'm just going to read this here because I just care to do so. Actually, go on here to 13. Is it 13? Yes, 13 is what I desire. 13, Matthew 13 and 13. Make it 11. Well, matter of fact, make it 10. Matthew 13 and 10. And the disciples came and said unto him, why speak you unto them in parables? He answered and said unto them, because it's given unto you to know the mysteries of the Malkuth of Shamahim, but to them it is not given. Michael, do you know what a parable is? Are you telling me? Or are you asking? Very well then. It's a riddle, an enigma. You know what an enigma is, don't you? Unbelievable. Who in here doesn't know what an enigma is? Huh? I mean, right here, man. I mean, right here. What that say right there? Where it says creation E, and in the UK it say enigma. So y'all don't know what enigma means? You don't know what that means? It's what? Yeah, it's a riddle. I mean, niggas be looking at me like they ain't know what I was talking about. Oh, I ain't hear. No, because that cologne is called Enigma.
That was a mystery smell.
That's what it's called. It's called Enigma. It ain't no mystery. It's cognac and tobacco and ginger. You know what I'm talking about? Make you smell like an alcoholic. Y'all don't like to smell like an alcoholic? I do. I don't even drink. I got several. Shoot, better get on that train. Boozy. It's the time of year for it too. Mm-hmm. Most definitely. Verse 12. For whatsoever have to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. And whatsoever have not from him shall be taken away, even that he have. Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they seeing not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. And then in this fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which say, by hearing you shall hear and shall not understand, and seeing you shall see and shall not perceive. Shalom, man. For this people heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes have they closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them. Blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For truly I say unto you that many prophets and righteous have desired to see what you see, and have not seen, and to hear what you hear, and have not heard. Now we're looking at that because he said he's going to open up with what? With parables. Open up dark sayings of old, which you have heard and known, and our fathers have told us. See, that go along to what we ended with that Romans 16. You remember what it said at Romans 16? What did it say about the mystery? What did Romans 16 and 25 say to you about the mystery? That means if you don't know, you can go look and see what it says. No. No, it says kept secret. Yeah. So that means those parables were manifested, but they didn't know what they meant. Matter of fact, this made me recall a verse that we haven't looked at in a very long time. Come over here to Hosea chapter 12. I believe it's verse 10. It is verse 10 that I desired. But we're gonna pick it up at about verse 3. Hosea chapter 12 and verse 3. Because we're gonna give an example of that. He took his brother by the heel in the womb, and by his strength he had power with Elohim. So who is he talking about? Who took their brother by the heel in the womb? Well, Esau's heel got grabbed, but that ain't who took hold of it. That was the supplanter. So what is that? Well, this is an example of that parable. Jacob is the supplanter. He's supplanting the ruddy man, because that's what Esau mean, didn't it? So that means somebody was coming to supplant man or supplant Adam. See, that is a parable that was kept secret from the time that the world was. See, that ain't made manifest until later. Because Esau literally means what? Hairy, ruddy. You know what I'm talking about? And the supplanter took hold of the ruddy man and replaced him and got the blessing of the firstborn. That's literally, because Jacob's name literally means supplanter. Also means deceiver. Now, we haven't talked about that in a long time. Do you know what verse in the gospel that Jacob's name is actually mentioned in reference to Mashiach? Huh? Do you know, Michael? Do you know? You don't know. You don't know. I thought you would have known that. What about you, sir? Why y'all over there playing? Why you can't just sit and follow along? Get your shirt out your mouth. Stop messing around and be a man. Conduct yourself properly. Well, you're not 5, boy. You about to be 9 in a very short period of time if you will see fit to keep you alive. Your conduct is not acceptable for a man of your stature. I will not allow it. You're going to have to do better, son. Oh, y'all don't know? Nobody knows? Oh, no. And Matthew 28, it was 27, excuse me. The reverse escapes me at this time. The scribes and the Pharisees certainly made a statement and an assessment. And the assessment was, we need to put a rock and a watch upon this grave, lest that deceivers, people come snatch him up out the grave, because that he was the one who was going to supplant them. So they had to call him a deceiver, because they were saying that by means of deceit, by him saying that he was the son of Elohim, in order to supplant them. It's been a long time since we talked about that. So I can understand if that didn't come to mind. You've never heard it before, so it's okay. There was no way that you were going to be able to answer that. I asked you stuff, I know you don't know the answer. I want you to use your brain. Because I don't know if you done. The reason why they say this is the reason why this is trigger words. I don't know how much people in here read, what they read and what they don't read, or when they read. So I don't know what a trigger in your brain at any time. You know what I'm talking about? Stuff could come to your brain. You know what, bang? I read that the other day. Oh, it's that. See that you can't never. Mom, there's a whole trash bag over there. Oh, you got it. Muffin says whole. Because Muffin said that trash can full. I didn't get a chance to take it out the door. I never approach anything and be like, they done fired John Gruden. Look at that. Look at the law. Yeah, they say he had misogynistic and anti-gay language in email, so he's out. The woke police got it. This 10 years ago. Now they come back. This is what it was. I done gave you $100 million over 10 years. We 4 years in. I need to get you out of here. How can I do it? Emails. Guess what? They still got to pay him $60 million. What he care? But his career's over. Maybe. I think he called Roger Goodell a faggot.
And he told himself. See the Vogel comments in that too.
No, that's they ain't even fired him for that. It just said for gay, anti-gay language and misogynistic conversation. They ain't firing him for saying that nigga had big lips. That's what this notification. He used misogynistic and anti-gay language. So he called him fat. Dave Chappelle a comedian. So check it, right? It means that, see, this is the thing, right? See, there's no such thing as cancel culture. You can only be canceled when you don't control your own destiny. You know what I'm saying? I just heard Boosie tell a nigga that they can't cancel me because I got this, and this. So you can't cancel me. They're serious. John Gruden could be canceled because he worked for the NFL. I can get you out of here. Dave Chappelle don't need Netflix to make no money. Nigga, the check's already been cut and cleared. No. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I mean, that's anything, though. Well, I'm mentioning that because that's a different conversation. When you own and control your own stuff, you can never be canceled. When you're dependent on the machine in order to make your money, then yes, you can be canceled. If Monte make independent music and he say some stuff nobody don't like, can they cancel him? Don't buy his music. Well, it doesn't matter if you buy my music or not. Because what? Is Sony going to cancel my record contract? I make my own music. I upload and stream my own music. I don't need your money. I need your machine. Now, I know they did that to R. Kelly. They took him off of all his YouTube channels. Are gone. Yeah, they're gone. His stuff's still on Spotify and Apple. But on YouTube, they took him all off. Yeah, I know he don't own the music, so he ain't making no money anyway. Yeah, he got a net worth of Minus $2 million. I heard that today. Yeah, you got a net worth of minus $2 million. I mean, shoot. Niggas suing you and you got all them legal fees. And you ain't making no money. Shoot, that's what he get for rubbing on Young Honey. Yeah. See, they throw the racist in on the news for Jax, but it was really the sissy talk. See, if it just would have been, that nigga looked like Bubbaloo Monkey, he'd have been good. He'd have had to come out and apologize. You can't talk about no faggots. Niggas who bite pillows, can't talk about them. Not if your livelihood is contingent on business where you got to deal with sissies. Shoot. I'd be like him, say what I want to say. Nigga, bump you and them sissies. Nigga should. Well, I just seen a clip, man. This junk was amazing. Well, this black woman was saying that all men are gay. And why do she said that she is a sovereign and that women are male identifiers. And why do you not believe that your man is with his homeboy sucking penis, getting hit in the booty hole? And I'm like, she's like, every man that had sex with a man. I'm like, the audacity. So I'm like, I'm not capping. This lady did a real deal live stream. This is her honest opinions. The nigga who trying to refute it, like this is the problem with a lot of dudes on the internet. Why even give that whore attention? Clearly that's insane. You know what I'm saying? Because you could just, as a man, just look her dead in the face and be like, the thought of another man repulses me. You know what I'm saying? No, I like, because I mean I'm different, so I'm gonna be disrespectful in a respectful way. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about? Because I used to have conversations with dudes up the road about this. Why are you messing with a man? This nigga back big as yours. This nigga skin rough as yours. This nigga hairy as you. You know what I'm talking about? The nigga might got a penis bigger than yours. What you gonna do with it? How does a man's rectum turn you on? That's a sphincter. A nigga can't do nothing with that. Just the thought, I don't want a woman's sphincter. Much less a man's. Like that junk perplexed me. Them niggas like, bro, I be lonely, bro. I be like, ain't that but lonely in the world? Ain't that but lonely? Not for no dude. That's a dude. Like this here, man. Dude be beating they meat all up under the covers, all in the doggone stalls. Man, we gotta use the bathroom back here, sir. You know what I'm talking about? Nigga back there raping himself. You know what I'm talking about?
Man, it must be why you should have nigga told Rester that it wasn't the game.
Man, look here. But see that one there, but it was on some other type of time. See, that was my first time being locked up. And I'm like, this here, like, dang, you ain't gonna fight for your manhood? You know what I'm talking about? Cause why the dummy butt up? You know what I'm talking about? I ain't no fighter, but we would have fought that day.
He said he told him it wasn't the game.
No, he ain't tell him nothing. That nigga got took by a bad body white man. Those were two white men. Yeah, that were two white men, man. That was 2000, man. That was the first time I ever went to jail, man. Yeah, for some reason. I can't say the first time. The first time I went to jail, they RR, man. I wasn't even in there that long. Some reefer. You know what I'm talking about? No, I ain't know they had cameras at the time and the lights and Regency. That wasn't a known factor at that time. You know what I'm saying? So my homeboy was going in there to buy a suit for the prom. Big grown rusty nigga taking the teenage nigga to the prom. I mean, we 19, we out of school. I'm in the parking lot, I'm rolling up. You know what I'm talking about? Just got me a night bag. I'm finna get blitzed. You know what I'm talking about?
Rolled up on you through it.
Yeah, they rolled up on me.
You threw that bit, they said.
No, they rolled up on me. They were like, where the dope? I was like, I don't smoke crack. You know what I'm talking about? I said, no, I don't smoke crack. Where's the dope? I don't smoke crack. She thought I was being funny. I wasn't being funny. I don't use white people lingo. That's white people lingo.
Then you went to court, they was like, oh, we got this on camera, bro.
I don't think it was a misdemeanor, man. That junk one night. I ain't go to no court. That junk was thrown out. I'm trying to be fooling with you about no reefer. Yeah, waste of time. Jose 12 and 4, man.
Sit down, face forward.
Yeah, he had power over the Malachim and prevailed. He wept and made supplication unto him. Y'all know what that's referring to, right? That's when he wrestled with the angel. That is another parable. Who is him wrestling that angel? What is that a similitude to? Do you know? Do you know, Mike? No. Joseph didn't wrestle with an angel. We still talking about the same man. Yeah, but do you know what that meant? What that signified with him wrestling with an angel? Yeah, you weren't here for that either, so you're okay. Yes, ma'am. No, it was him wrestling Satan and defeating him. Because what happened when he won? No, I mean that's different than the Ruach wrestling the flesh. Totally different. Those are two different conversations. Because he didn't wrestle Satan in the Ruach. He wrestled Satan in the flesh. He didn't beat Satan in the spirit. He beat Satan with flesh. That's what Romans 8:1 tell you about. He condemned sinful flesh in the flesh. See, it sounds like that, but if you was to put that out there, you would be actually incorrect. Because Mashiach at no time was in a spiritual form when he went head up with Satan. That's so you could defeat him in the flesh. Yahushua was a man the whole entire time. When he died, that's when Satan was beaten. You know what I'm talking about? He was in the flesh the whole time. He beat Satan in the flesh. He didn't beat him because that's not a battle. That's an automatic W. Elohim is a Ruach. So how is he not going to defeat a ministering spirit that he created? If he's a spirit on spirit, Satan loses. But man was in a state where man is not in the spirit. Man was in the flesh, and man was defeated by Satan. So therefore, Elohim became a man and became flesh and defeated flesh with flesh in order for you to live in the spirit. And that's what Jacob wrestling that angel is about, because his name was changed to what? And what does that name mean? You have power with Elohim, the rule with Elohim, and man. So the only way that you can get power with Elohim is to defeat Satan in the flesh. Because like he just stated, that shows you that you can defeat Satan while in the flesh. That means he doesn't have the power to, like I'm saying, on the surface, it sounds like that. And like this here, boom, boom, boom. See, that's an example why I tell y'all to be specific, because that's not the rag on y'all. It just gives me a teachable moment, as the people like to say. You know what I'm talking about? That you come with that information and you tell somebody that. That's how misinformation spreads. That's how misunderstanding spread. Because now we think it, see, perfect example of that is, of course, he was going to beat the devil. He was God in the flesh. He was God in the flesh, but he wasn't God while he was in the flesh. He was a man. You know what I'm saying? And Dice.
Yeah, because they whole argument is how can God die?
Yeah, because that's the next thing they're going to come with. How can God die?
That's your God.
And God did die because he wasn't Elohim. He was a man. That's why he constantly and consistently always referred to himself as who? Son of Adam. Son of Adam. And he was telling them he was the son of Elohim before it happened. He already knew what the destiny was, so I can tell you this because I already know the outcome. See, you can only speak of the outcome when you have confidence that the outcome is going to come to pass if you hold fast to the labor at hand. See, most people don't have confidence in the outcome. See, that's what we were reading the other night when we were reading Philippians chapter 3, when Paul said, I count all things as lost that I might win Mashiach, and I count it but it's dumb. And he said, I'm not speaking as if I've apprehended, but that I might be conformable with his sufferings and be a partaker in his resurrection, because I have confidence in the outcome. See, come over here to 2 Timothy chapter 4 in regards to conversation about confidence in the outcome. Hey, cut it out. Sit up properly like a young man should. You got a young man's polo shirt on. That means you're a young man. You got a polo shirt on. With the denim. So you Florida boying it all the way out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see you, Joe. Don't smirk at me, Joe. I'm going to get you, boy. 2 Timothy chapter 4. You can pick it up at verse 1 if you like. You're just running that down because I wanted y'all to hit that one there, because guess what? That's the only way you're going to be able to dwell in this tabernacle. Because you're going to have to grab hold to the man who grabbed hold to man and defeat. But do you see how both of those stories coincide? He grabbed hold to the heel of Edom, or a man, or the ruddy man, because Adam was a ruddy man. Text tell you that. You know what I'm talking about? And he had power over man. The supplanter supplanted man. Elohim supplanted man. You know what I'm talking about? And there's a whole other thing where you could look at Esau being Satan, but that's a whole nother conversation. Because Esau was adversarial his entire existence. I'm talking about Esau himself, not the sons of Edom. Esau was consistently adversarial. The only time you didn't see him adversarial is when he ran up on Jacob and he had his wife and his kids with him. And when he ran up on Jacob, when he had his wife and kids with him, that's an example of when your ways please Elohim, even your enemies be at peace with you. And see, but that's a whole nother conversation in and of itself. Michael, could you tell me that what that parable means? Because that's from the book of Proverbs, so that's a literal parable. He said, when a man ways pleases Yahuwah, even his enemies be at peace with him. I'm asking you this because I know that you can't answer it. And I know that you can't answer it for one reason and one reason alone. You haven't been disseminated that information to have the ability to even answer it. Now, some of these men in here done had it. I'm asking you that for you to cause your brain to say, how can this nigga disrespect me like this, telling me what I don't understand? But I know that you haven't heard it. So for something of that nature that you haven't heard, unless Yahuwah gave it to you right here and there on the spot, which is not his MO in dealing with women, then there's no way that you're going to be able to answer that question. I'm asking you that for you to think and ponder, what does that really mean? Johnny, do you recall what that verse means? Mainly because I want that verse to stick out for you because you never heard it. Look like little Johnny stuff. Somebody gonna throw him a lifeline? Phone a friend. Come over here to Proverbs 16:7 so you can see what a verse is at. That's what it is at. You could get verse 6 on the house. Shoot. Bump that jump, man. Go on all the way to verse 2 with it, because he get verse 1 with it, because he gets spicy with it. All the way through to verse 7. Proverbs 16:1. I take that back, Mike. You might have heard this one here, but I think what it was is I didn't spend an inordinate amount of time on it. When we spent an inordinate amount of time on it, that was several years ago. The preparation of the heart and man and the answer of the tongue is from Yahuwah. That's what we were talking about the other day. What you prepare to say in you know what verse goes with that? Don't take no thought what you going to say. Don't take no thought what you going to speak, because the Ruach HaKadosh in that very hour shall give you what you ought to say and what to speak. So you have to understand that the preparation of the heart and the answer of the tongue, that's from the Yahuwah. All the ways of man are clean in his own eyes, but Yahuwah weigh the Ruachs. So guess what? He gonna decide. He gonna just wait, just balance, because every man feel like he clean in the pathway that he goes. He say, commit your works unto Yahuwah, and your thoughts shall be established. Thoughts are your plot, plan, and devices. So when you commit yourself to Yahuwah, your works. So when you commit your actions to Yahuwah, then he will establish the pattern of thoughts, or your motives, your plans, your plots. If you ain't committed to Yahuwah, then you're going to have your own plans, plots, and motives. See, matter of fact, this made me think about something here this brother had in the Lapid group. He had shared this one here. I asked these gentlemen what he asked everybody in there. If I can actually find it. And there it is. He said 10 things that man needs to hear. I love you. I'm proud of you. I see your progress. You're handsome. Sex with you is amazing. I support you. I believe in you. I only want you. I appreciate you. Thank you. And he asked, do you need to hear this? Do any of you gentlemen need to hear any of those things mentioned? And he asked this follow-up question, why don't you need to hear it? Because I told him I definitely don't.
I don't need validation.
You know what I'm saying?
You already got my mind set on what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna do it whether you or
No, that's not what he's asking. He's saying, do you need your woman to tell you she's proud of you?
I don't.
Why don't you need her to tell you that?
I know what I'm finna do. I already know how it's gonna be done. It's already set.
Do you need her to tell you that she loves you?
No.
Why you don't need to hear that, Michael?
I know she loves it. She come home every day. She right there. I mean, she right there when I get home. Gone 2-3 days.
That boy say she come home. She there when I get there. Do any of you gentlemen need to hear that? Do any of you like to share why you don't need to hear it? You don't have to if you don't. I told him, why would I need to hear somebody tell me they love me when they should be showing me that? For me, that just sounded like that stuff that women want to hear. A few brothers in there say they needed to hear those things. One dude on there say, man, he say, I don't like being lied to with 4 and 5. I said, but that was stupid. 4 and 5 is when you're handsome and your sex with you is amazing. He said, I don't like to be lied to. No, they're definitely the one that I told the brother, I said that I believe in you. I'm like, I don't need to hear that because I believe in myself. You know what I'm saying? It's amazing. Nigga say, do you need them to tell you I see your progress? I'm a different type of nigga. I'd be like, shoot, ho, I seen mine too.
I can see my progress. Both of them outside.
This nigga say I can see my progress. Both of them outside.
Came a long way.
See that new studio?
Oh, yeah, that too.
Then the thank you. He say he like to hear it, but he don't need it because every man's different. Doesn't make anybody lesser because everybody's different. That's why he asked why. Because like you telling me you support me means nothing if you're not fulfilling the things that I ask you to do in support of my endeavors. You know what I'm saying? I don't care to hear that. I don't need a woman for emotional support.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? So that's another conversation for another day. Proverbs 16 and 4. You who have made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. Everyone that is proud in heart is an abomination to Yahuwah. Though hand join in hand, he shall not be unpunished. See, I done told y'all about that pride. That pride is abominable to that man. And he said, if you want to lock hands with the proud, you dine with him. That's pretty much what he's saying. You dine with him. You want to click up with the proud, everybody going down. Ain't that right, Joe? That's right. Hey, children. Are those babies? Because I hope those are babies and not big children. You ain't no baby boy. No baby boy. Well, you the baby boy, but you ain't no baby boy. 16 and 6, Proverbs. By mercy and truth is iniquity purged. So there's your grace and truth. And by the fear of Yahuwah, men depart from evil. See, when men don't reverence Yahuwah, they stay being disagreeable. When a man's ways please Yahuwah, he make even his enemies to be at peace with him. Glover, what that verse mean? When a man ways please Yahuwah, he make his enemies be at peace with him. What it mean? Talk to me, man. You say you're dropping jumpers every week. Cause Johnny say he's a volume shooter. They say you a 3-point marksman. They say you Steph Curry, Steve Kerr.
I can't say I'm that.
Judd Bushler.
Let's just say I come off the bench when I'm needed sometimes.
That nigga Bill Winnington.
I can't say I'm Steph Curry. That mean that nigga guaranteed to hit.
Ain't that what he said the other day?
He said you stay when you present, you shoot.
And you make it at a high clip.
No, I say usually I have them when I'm here. But this year, what you got?
We are here.
Shoot it. And that's what I used to say on NBA Live when the shot clock go down. You hear the coach, shoot it.
I ain't gonna lie. When I think about this, I'm thinking about.
Why you rolling around in my floor?
I'm thinking about this.
Why? Because a toddler playing with you and you rusty and husky, you supposed to tell him what to do, not engage with it. Poor leadership on your behalf. Tighten up. Go ahead.
Man, I'm thinking about how when Yasharal get to the end, how they gonna bring the riches up. Our enemy gonna bring the riches to us.
No, sir.
That's how I bricked on that one.
You did.
It happens.
Top of the backboard. You got something for me?
Example, I think like with Joseph and his brothers, he waved things on him. The brothers like in an adversary position. They was at peace with him.
That is accurate. Not what we're looking for. You got something for that?
I was thinking something more along the lines, but I think I can get on David.
That's accurate. Not what we're looking for. I'm gonna go ahead and stop it.
What you looking for?
I'm finna see what y'all got. Y'all got something?
Yeah, I was thinking about what he said in Isaiah 25:8 when he said death will be swallowed up in victory because his enemy is death.
And that is the proper answer. The proper answer is this. Corinthians tells you that the last enemy is who? Yahushua's ways. Did they please the Father? Is now his enemy at peace with him? So that's what that verse that I'm talking about, because we're talking about, he said, I'm going to open up parables, dark sayings, and other sayings of old. Make them known unto your fathers. That goes back to what he was saying, that many righteous men have desired to hear what you heard and have not heard it, and seen what you've seen and have not seen it.
You saying the last enemy was death?
The last enemy is death. Death is, remember he said, whosoever live and believe in me will not do what? So that means regardless if he's on this earth or not, his enemy is at peace with him. You ain't got no conflict with death. If you die in Mashiach, death has no power over you. Though you may be in the grave, death has no power over you. The second death. Don't got no power over you.
I was looking at defeating death, meaning he actually defeated it.
He did.
So it wasn't wrong.
When he rose again, death was defeated. His enemy was at peace with him. And now therefore, our enemy, because he tell you that in Hebrews 2, and that epistle letter, that who all their life was subject under bondage by reason of fear of death. That's at peace with you. We have no longer a fear of death. Death has no power. It's just the point of when he state the last enemy to be destroyed is death. We're mentioning it because that verse from Paul lets us know that death was an enemy. And Yahushua's ways pleased his Father. So therefore, his enemies were at peace with him. Because when you're at peace, that means you're what? You're not. We no longer have an adversarial relationship with death. You have trepidation with death because you have not experienced it. And because you don't know when it's coming.
I get what you're saying versus the flesh. So you still having a battle with the flesh.
Yeah, you're going to wrestle with your flesh.
But the ulterior thing, the end goal is that you're at peace with the end goal.
But I mean, even not just with us, just with him. His enemy is at peace with him. His ways please the Father, and now his enemies are at peace with him. Death is at peace with Yahushua. And if you and Yahushua, guess who you are? You the Son. So therefore, your enemies would be at peace with you because your ways please Yahuwah.
So you say because the first death really don't matter because you still got to return to the dust.
You going to the dust of the earth regardless.
I see. That's what I'm missing.
That's what that scripture of death was sustain.
Yeah, and that's what he referencing what's in Isaiah 25 that death swallowed up in victory. Of course, you're dealing with y'all thinking all the way to the end where there's no death at all from anyone. But death is at peace with this man. He defeated that. But look how he defeated it. His ways. His ways is what allowed him to defeat it. Back to Hosea chapter 12. We in verse 5 or verse 4. Yeah, he had power over the Malachim and prevailed. He wept and made supplication unto him. When he wept and made supplication unto him, what did he say? Bless me. That's what he asked for. He found him at Bethel, and there he spake with us. Even Yahuwah Elohim of hosts. Yahuwah is his memorial. Therefore, turn you to your Elohim, keep mercy and judgment, and wait on your Elohim continually. And look what he told you to do. Be merciful, keep mercy, keep judgment, and wait on Yahuwah. And guess what you got from out of that? The weightier matters of the law. Judgment, mercy, and faith in one sentence. That's what you just seen right there in that 12 and 6. Turn to your Elohim, keep mercy, judgment, and wait on your Elohim continually. He just told you the weightier matters of the law right then and there. And he told you the weightier matters of the law in juxtaposition of talking about Jacob. Because Jacob did all three of those things. Are y'all aware that Jacob did the weightier matters of the law himself? Well, the first instance where you can see him keeping mercy is he showed mercy under Laban. When Laban changed his wages all those multiple times, he had mercy on him. You know he had the faith because you can see that in chapter 28 of the book of Genesis when he said, hey, I awoke and I realized Elohim was here. And if you keep me in the way that I go and you give me bread and you give me a garment, I give you 10% of what I have or a tenth of what I have. And you can see that with the judgment because he did that with Laban also and with Esau. That's why he could be able to stand in front of Laban and say, I'm not going to go back and forth with you. My righteousness will speak for me. Which is taking you back to what happened with Abel. His blood cried from the ground and his righteousness spoke for him. See, one thing about it, if you know you serving Yahuwah, you ain't got to be going back and forth with nobody. And that's also another element of what Paul wrote when he say a spiritual man is judged by no man. Laban couldn't judge Jacob, nor could Esau. Oh, we about to get there. Verse 7, Hosea 12. He is a merchant because the conversation has changed. And the balance of deceit are in his hand. He loved to oppress. And Ephraim said, yet I become rich, and I found me out substance in all my labors. They shall find none iniquity in me that were sin. See that when they're done switched, now it's talking about Ephraim. They led off talking about Jacob. Now he done switched. Now he talking about Ephraim. Well, let's take a look. First things first, we got a merchant. What do we have for merchant? You literally have here Canaan. That's what you got there. You know that means lowland, but it also means merchant or trader. He said the balance of deceit is in his hand. He loved to oppress. Well, let's look at oppress. Of course, you know that's a sock. That is to do violence, to be exploited, and to be crushed. Ephraim said, I've become rich. I found me out substance. In all my labors, they shall find none iniquity in me that were sin. Well, let's take a look at that as forth as merchants. Let's take a look at 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 1. Let's take that route. I know I called for this 2 Timothy 4. Just hold it. Second Peter chapter 2. I'm sorry, it's chapter 2 and 1. I think I said 2 Peter chapter 2. I mean chapter 1, but it's 2 Peter chapter 2 and verse 1. 2 Peter chapter 2 and verse 1. There were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who were privily bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that brought them, and bring upon themselves swift destruction. Many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of God. That's what you get. That is accurate, sir. Amen. Judgment, mercy, and faith is definitely the attributes of Abraham's seed. That's what you get. Of the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. And through covetousness shall they with vain words make merchandise of you, whose judgment of a long time lingered not, and their damnation slumbered not. So now he says they'll make merchandise of you. Come over here so I can slap you upside the back of your head. I said, come over here so I can slap you upside the back of your head. Turn around. Stop playing. You the oldest, and you supposed to be showing him what to do, and you playing with fix your face, nigga. You ain't got nothing to cry for. Because I ain't even hit you that hard. You're ashamed and you're embarrassed. You ought to be ashamed. As the oldest male child in here, you're conducting yourself in an uncouth manner. You playing with a boy. Ain't no pause. That nigga didn't understand that. He in here playing with a child. You the oldest brother, and you around here playing slap hands with a toddler. No, I caught it. I didn't catch him how I wanted to. Now you sad. Why you sad, son? You embarrassed? Are you embarrassed? Because I want him to be able to express himself. Just because he's being chastised don't mean he can't express what he's feeling. You embarrassed because, see, this is the thing, because I done talked to you about this before. You think you can do what you want to do and it's not no consequences. See, I didn't embarrass you. You embarrassed yourself. You know what I'm talking about? You embarrassed yourself because I had gave you multiple directives on stop playing with your little brother and you chose not to follow them. So you think I'm supposed to spare you because you want to do what you want to do when you the oldest and you supposed to govern him, but yet he's governing you. I told you, boy, your conduct is unacceptable and I don't like it and I'm not going to allow it, not in my presence. I'm going to check you. Cut all that out. All that sniveling like somebody done whooped your behind. Boy, your head don't even hurt no more. Your pride hurt, but your pride need to be hurt. You need to be humble because you're obstinate and you're stubborn, rebellious. You conduct yourself like a troglodyte and I don't care for it. What's that?
Troglodyte? The last word. Troglodyte?
What's that chocolate night?
Troglodyte? Mm-hmm. Yes. Now open up that book and follow along like you've been doing. You have been conducting yourself well for the majority of the week. Now at the end, you want to taper off. Go ahead and get your tears out, man. It's okay. I ain't gonna stop you from crying. Go on, get it out. You need a moment? No, I ain't gonna get on him for crying, but shoot, that behavior is unacceptable. I'm not with that. Now, can y'all tell me what the scribes and Pharisees made merchandise out of the people? Or can you identify where they were covetous? And can you identify that they said in all their labors there was none iniquity in them that was sin? All of these things can be found in the Gospels. Which one is that? I gave you 3. That's envy. Covenant is a little different because you're talking about making merchandise out of the people. So they coveted what the people had to make merchandise out of them, not coveting Mashiach's place.
Yeah, I see. It would. I think it's covenant.
I thought he made 3 separate. I thought he made making merchandise out of people or covenants or.
Because making the merchandise out of the people is birthed from covenants. So you can identify places where they made merchandise out of the people, You can identify places where they were covetous, and then you can identify places where they say they had no iniquity and there was no sin in them. See, we're not talking about them coveting Mashiach's place, because that's not coinciding with what we got here in Hosea.
So we're talking about making merchandise. We're talking about them
Profiting off of the people.
That's making people tired of it come. You know, make the way it matters.
That's one of them. You got a couple more. Let's take a look. Matthew 15 for 1. Matthew 23 for 2. John 9 for 3. And unfortunately, these things still carry on to this day. Are you going to follow along, or are you going to sit there with your arms folded across your kneecaps? Because just because you have been chastised does not alleviate you from the responsibilities that you have, which is to follow along in this text that you may learn of your God. Because you better me slap you upside the head than you who would take your breath. Because that's what I'm trying to teach you, son, because you don't follow direction. And you have the attitude that I'm going to do what Michael wants to do, no matter the situation. That's not how men conduct themselves. You will grow up to be a man who will have no manner of success in life if you continue with that type of attitude. Now, once you get grown and out my presence, you can do what you want to do. But as long as you're a child and you in my presence, you conduct yourself in a manner not becoming of a man of your stature, I'm going to check you on it every single solitary time. Because you're going to do better. Or at least you're going to be showed how to do better. Now, it's up to you if you're going to do better. Ain't nobody telling you this to embarrass yourself. But every time I talk to you, you always tell me how you ain't followed directions and you ain't behaved. And you think that's acceptable as you approaching 9 years old? Nigga, it's not. So you always got that sly, sheepish grin on your face, thinking somebody playing with you. But let me tell you something, boy. I don't play with churn. I don't. Don't let the jokes and the affection that I show to y'all fool you. Well, I was straightening every last one of y'all repeatedly and consistently. I don't get tired. It don't aggravate me, and I don't get frustrated with you. I don't. It don't bother me. I can tell you the same thing 45 times in a row and never lose my cool, because you're going to learn or you're going to get checked. It's simple as that. I don't have a problem with it. But you're going to conduct yourself in an orderly fashion, and you're going to maintain the structure that's laid before you, or you can suffer the consequences. That's it. It's not hard. It's not. Because one day you're going to be a man, and you're not going to be able to look at nobody and say that the tools to be a man weren't given to you by somebody in the course of your life. So when your life failed, you're going to look in the mirror and say, I'm the reason why my life failed, not because somebody ain't tell me and show me better. That's what you're not going to be able to do. Not while I'm breathing. Oh, nigga, you got me bent. You got your rabbit mind, boy. Matthew chapter 15. 15 and 3. I distinctly recall asking you to open that book and follow along, get your hands off your legs, and do what you're supposed to do. Just because you're upset does not mean that you don't do what you're supposed to do. Well, guess what? This is how we can rectify the situation. If you don't want to do what you're supposed to do, when it's time to eat, you won't get none. You can go in the other room and you can stay in there in the dark. And you can be removed from the presence of everyone else. It's just that simple. Because you're not going to dictate to me what you're going to do. I dictate to you what you're going to do. And if you don't want to do it, then I can get some straightening. Because see, I ain't going to whoop you. I ain't going to do none of that. I ain't got time for all that. I'm going to hit you where it hurts because you're greedy. And you like to move freely. And I'm going to take that from you. 15 and 3. But he answered and said unto them, why do you also transgress the commandment of Elohim by your tradition? For Elohim commanded, saying, honor your Abba and mother, and he that cursed father or mother. I apologize. Matthew 23 got what I want in regards to this conversation. Matthew 23 and 16. Now, this is going to come up to test your knowledge of the law what we're going to read here in 23 and 16, because that was in my mind. I don't know why I thought it was in Matthew 15, even though I did mention Matthew 23. He said, "One of you blind guides which say, whosoever shall swear by the temple, it is nothing. But whosoever swear by the gold of the temple, he is a debtor. You fools and blind, for whether is greater, the gold or the temple that sanctify the gold?" How does that pertain to the law? Let me see if y'all can remember that, how that pertains to the law. I'm not going to ask you, Michael. You weren't here for that. All jokes aside, now we actually went through detailed about all that stuff. It's in the book of Leviticus. It's in the book of Leviticus. Notice, right? He say the temple that sanctify the gold or the gold, because he's talking about the gold in the temple, right? We've been reading about this here. How did the gold get in the temple? Free will offering of the people. The gold was offered to whom? To the Levitical priest. It's offered to Yahuwah by the Levitical priest. Who gets to keep the gold?
The priest do.
The priest do. See, this is an example of them making merchandise. Because you ain't supposed to swear by the temple, right? But he's telling them you can swear by the gold because they want the gold. Where's your example of that? Your first example of that in the text is who? Eli's sons. Coveting and making merchandise of the people for their sacrifice. Because remember, that's why I said this is in the law, and you probably gonna be familiar with that. You could have had animals, right, that you were going to offer, that were obligatory for you to offer. Well, you wouldn't have offered them, your husband would have done it. And you could say, you know what? I want to keep this. I think it's in Leviticus 27, if I remember. Not 27. It's after 27. The 26 talking about them curses. It's somewhere towards the end of the book of Leviticus. You could take that animal to the priest and weigh it for a redemption price. Then he would tell you, okay, it's 3 silver shekels, 4 gold bars. You keep the animal, but you give him the money. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Mashiach is letting them know. That's what they're doing. Because the gold is not set apart because it's set apart. The gold is set apart because this house is set apart. See, anything that goes in the house is not set apart on its own. It's the temple itself that sanctifies it. See, you're not set apart. It's the temple or the body of Mashiach that sanctifies you. See, that's what dudes don't want to have that conversation about. His body is what sets you apart. So you're not set apart on your own. See, you're not even set apart by keeping the law. You're only sanctified by the temple. Anything that goes into the temple is set apart. And we're probably not gonna get it tonight. I'm probably just gonna save that for Wednesday and Friday. Remember how we've been looking at them glistering stones, them gold bars, all that stuff that was for the temple? Remember last night we read about how Darius say, take the gold that you took out the temple of Yahuwah and put in the palace in Babylon and take it and bring it back to the house of Yahuwah. That's an example of the vessels that were out the house, that were removed out of the house because of sin, that have now been dwelling in confusion, cannot be returned into the house which sanctified them in the first place. You know what I'm talking about? And that's dealing with stuff in Jeremiah 50 and 51. But that's what because they're vessels. They're things used for the service of the ministry in the temple. Every individual who comes to Yahuwah are vessels used in the ministry of the temple. We've had that conversation before in regards to spiritual gifts. Every person who has a spiritual gift is a vessel in the house used for the service of Yahuwah. You know what I'm talking about? And that's when we read that verse earlier in the week, that you have vessels made to honor, and you have to purge yourself of these things in order to be meet for the master's use. So you have to make yourself something that he can use. See, that goes to something that's not taught to most women. So of course if it's not taught to women, then it's not going to be taught to the young men to do it. Because if the majority of our households, the women are raising the kids, then that means that there's no man to give them that instruction that they would have need to been given by their fathers. That's what makes both parties deficient. The woman does not have that capability on her own. Her father has to give her that information. Your father has to tell you, you have to learn how to be useful to a man. So now you have a generation of young women feel their usefulness to a man is giving him vagina. Oh, and I cook and I clean. Well, those are regular life skills, whether if you had a man or not, you would be doing them. So therefore, that does not make you useful to a man. So by product, if the woman does not know how to be useful to a man, then therefore a man doesn't even know how to be useful to himself. Because who would have gave him that instruction? To much less find a woman and tell her, this is how you can be useful to me, which means he won't even know how to be useful to another man. That's why you got the problems amongst our people that you see. That starts with the father. The father the one teach that daughter that. See, we were laughing, joking about it, but when he mentioned her, like, oh, you funky, that's useful, because she needs to hear that. See, the first thing you look at, that's a child. What about their feelings? But then you have to remember, nobody outside that door care about your child's feelings. And they going to say 100 times things worse than what you going to say. Because at least she know if she was looking crazy like you embarrassed me, then somebody going to say, come here, baby, and give you a hug. I just wanted you to know to put your deodorant on so you're not stink. See, she could get that if she was that embarrassed. Out there, don't nobody care if you're embarrassed. Don't nobody care if you're sad. Don't nobody care about none of that. They're going to continually go until your mental is cracked and fractured. And everybody in here knows it because you either participated in it or you seen it. From the time you went to daycare all the way till you graduated from college, if you even went that far. You know that people are cruel and that the cruelness does not stop. It doesn't stop when you become an adult, and we all know it. Matter of fact, it probably gets worse as you get older. You know what I'm talking about? So you have to be honest with them and tell them, man, it's a cold world out here, man. These people don't care about you. Because our biggest problem is we worry about people's feelings. And the world don't care about your feelings. How many of y'all were prepared for how cold the world was when you finally took your steps out there to realize, well, don't nobody give a damn about you out here. They don't care about how you feeling, and one of you niggas farted and you niggas mad. Oh, I knew it one of them turned. I'm like, golly, I know it'll be extra stank too. But all those aside, when you stepped out there and you became grown, and you found out that nobody really care, only your people really care about you. Don't nobody really care about you out here, about what you got going on, what you feeling, what you ain't got, what you dealing with. They don't care because they got their own stuff they dealing with. Why am I going to be overly concerned with what you got going on? You know children don't care nothing about your family, Pope, and you got on some busted up shoes. I'm cheering for the rank on you. And truth be told, you women are 10 times worse as boys are. 10 times worse. Because at least a nigga will rank on them to your face. Y'all rank on people after they leave. And treat them harshly and roughly when they in your presence if they ain't in your little crew. Most men don't do that. They gonna rank on a nigga, they be like, boy, that nigga ugly. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all gonna wait till you seen that at this here and treat her funny. Act like she your friend and all. And talk like a dog. Talking about how she musky and stank. You ain't never gonna tell the girl she musky. Gonna let everybody laugh at her that she musky. You in her face every day. You be like, girl, that musky. What you gonna tell her? Shoot. Ain't my problem. Cause man will tell you about, hey nigga, you stink. What? We go home and bathe, nigga. What you brought your funky behind around here for, nigga? You know what I'm talking about? Am I lying? The nigga tell the nigga quick, well, that nigga that stink. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all be like, why y'all men be talking like that? Cause that nigga stink. His breath stink. You know what I'm talking about? Your clothes smell like mildew, nigga. Did you let them dry? Nah, bro. Yeah. Y'all sit back and see a woman getting overweight. You be like, you look beautiful, girl. That's mean. It ain't right. You know what I'm talking about? Because y'all gonna walk off, girl, she look like she done put on 20 pounds. You could have told her that. They ain't never made a movie called Mean Boys.
That
that or that.
That's the other thing.
Everybody extent.
I'm just saying, I'm like I said, I'm not trying to make light of it, but you know, everybody in here know the people in here, they care about you. The people out there, it ain't too many, everybody know it ain't too many people out there in that world that care about you other than the people who you already know that. And you got to remember, guess what? When your child goes somewhere, don't nobody care about them children like you care about them. They don't. Ain't nobody gonna look at, oh, that's Shayla salt. I'm gonna treat her nicely. I'm gonna be like, shoot, Si, you stink. You know, children cruel. They cruel. I can't even say they cruel. They just honest and brutally honest. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't know how to filter themselves and not say the first thing that comes to their mind. You know what I'm saying? They gonna be like, yeah, you smell like a goat. That's what comes to their mind. That's what they gonna say. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'll never forget when we was at my homeboy house and he had his daughter over there and that nigga, and she looked, and it's crazy now because she a lesbian now, strong stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Looked my dog in the face and said, "Why are you so ugly?" Well, we fell out. You know what I'm saying? Bro, she was probably like 6, 7, you know what I'm saying? Something like that. You know what you gonna say to that? No, they don't be lying. They be saying they honest opinion. You ugly. It's their perspective. They honest perspective. Like that video, you seen the video the lady was doing her baby hair? And she was like, I don't like sitting right here. Why? Because it smells. But look, you can tell she had respect for her. Because she didn't want to say it. She was nervous to say that. She had respect for her. She said, because it smells. She said, don't do me like that, baby. I'm gonna be done. She knew that coochie was stank. She knew she was stank. Doing heads all day. Stank is all outdoor. Matthew 23 and 18. She knew she was stank.
She need to be in the elevated position.
You know, it's a different time. People mentally soft and people mentally weak now. You know what I'm saying? You can't criticize nobody. You can't say nothing. The fact that, like, DeMaurice Smith was upset because John Gruden said he had big lips, what you care for? You said racist things that hurt my feelings. Nigga, you 50 years old and a millionaire. What I care about what he talking about? Yeah, I got big lips. And I'm going to put them on your wife tomorrow.
They said that came with 9/11. They said our generation got the stroke of 9/11. We mentally became so.
No, 9/11 ain't had nothing to do with it. You know what had something to do with the children being soft? Because younger people didn't like the discipline that their parents and grandparents gave unto them. And they said, I'm not going to do it with my offspring. That's what happened with it. You know what I'm saying? You felt like your people did you like this and did you like that and you ain't like it. And I ain't going to raise my child like that. Now your child a buster.
I think it was the fact that everybody accepted it. Like, niggas stopped ostracizing niggas who was something.
Well, see, you can't ostracize somebody for being, because I'm just telling you, because I mean, I'm from the generation where it started. Them niggas started having kids. They ain't like what they people did with them, and they said, I'm not going to do it. So therefore, they didn't set the parameters of discipline, structure, and order on the seed, on top of men not being actively involved for whatever reason in the rearing of the seed. So then you have women who are majoritarily raising the seed, and then the women didn't like the discipline that they received as a child, so they're going to rebel against their parents and therefore not give their child the proper tools to be able to function as a mentally strong adult. Mental strength and dexterity comes from men. That don't come from no woman. That comes from men. And when you ain't got no men, you're going to have weak children. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Men and women are not mentally tough. In general, you know what I'm saying? There's always exceptions, but most women are not mentally tough. They don't deal with adversity well. And you can tell a man who's been raised by a woman because he usually doesn't deal with adversity well. Main reason being because his mama will always come save him. So because his mama always come save him, and he get older, he won't know how to deal with son and master that as a man, because he gonna be looking for mama to come save him. And then when mama don't come save him, that's why you get dudes and they get with chicks and they be entitled, expecting that girl to take care of him or do this or do that, because you used to mom dudes coming to save him. That don't mean that the woman can't be the nurturer, but sometimes, shoot, that nigga fell down, let that nigga cry and figure out how to get back up there and not fall down. Because eventually he gonna have to. Or you can assist him and show him how to not to fall down so he can do it on his own. But just picking him up or doing it for him, that's mentally damaging for a young man. Well, don't let him get you again, boy. Don't let him get you again, boy. 23 and 18, because I'm watching you, boy. I'm watching you now. That book ain't open. I don't know why you closed it. Or you ain't hungry. That's what it is. It's okay. Matthew 23 and 18. Whosoever shall swear by the altar, it is nothing. But whoso swear by the gift that upon it, he is guilty. You fools. For whether is greater, the gift or the altar that sanctify the gift? Whoso therefore shall swear by the altar, swear by it, and by all things thereon. And he that shall swear by heaven shall swear by the throne of Elohim, and by him that sit thereon. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you pay the tithe of mint, anise, and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. These ought you have to done, and not to leave the other undone. That's why I started on it earlier, but you see how he say what's greater, the gift or the altar, because that's what it is. They want the gift. And they're making merchandise out of the people by saying you can do A, B, C, and D as long as you offer the gift. Because they know that they're getting the gift. And they're not giving it to you. So that's how you make merchandise, because they were false teachers. Well, that's what you read in Peter. So they making merchandise. I get you that Greek word for merchandise, a little above. Tighten up on your backstroke, baby. Let me get that Greek word for merchandise. And notice he said with feigned words. Y'all know what feigned is, right? Now, what is this merchandise? It is emporiume. It is to go trading, travel for business, import for sale, or use a person or a thing for gain. And do you see how in that Matthew 23, he detailed plainly that they were using something for gain? They were making merchandise of the people. I think it is Luke 12. If it ain't Luke 12, it's Luke 16. You say it ain't Luke 12, so it's probably Luke 16. No. Well, we'll swing. Well, I'm gonna do John 9 last. Hold on. I was right the first time. Luke 16. Luke 16 and 9. I'll start at verse 9. And I say unto you, make to yourselves friends of the mammon of unrighteousness, that when you fail, they may receive you into everlasting habitations. He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. He that is unjust in the least is also unjust in much. Therefore you have not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, who will commit to your trust the true riches. And if you've not been faithful in that which is another man's, who shall give you that which is your own? No servant can serve two masters, for he will hate the one or love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve Elohim and Mammon. Is there a reason why you ain't reading? I asked you a question. Don't look at me stupid. Answer me when I'm talking to you and look me in my eyes when you talk to me. I don't understand anything you saying. You can talk louder than that. Take them rocks out your mouth and enunciate your words. Why that book ain't open and why you ain't reading? Take them rocks out your mouth and enunciate your words. Why are you not reading? If I have to ask you that one more time, I'm going to karate chop you in your throat. Why are you not reading? Because you what? Because you're embarrassed. Why are you embarrassed, son? Why do you have the feelings of embarrassment at this time? I'm talking to you, son. Look at me when I'm talking to you. You embarrassed because you're getting railed on in front of all these people? Now, let me ask you this. Did you put yourself in a position to be embarrassed, or am I embarrassing you on my own? Huh? I can't hear you, son. Speak up. So you embarrassed yourself. How many times do I ask you to follow directions? How many times do I ask you, have you behaved? But you choose not to. Michael, it's consequences for your actions, boy. You're going to have to learn to take responsibility for them consequences. Because you don't have to be embarrassed right now. You chose to be. And that's what's going to happen if you on this. If you can't follow our instructions, I know you're not going to follow Yahuwah's. And you're going to have way more embarrassment than sitting in here looking crazy, messing with him. And we don't want you to go that route. That's why I'm doing you the way I do you. Because I don't want you to lose your soul, boy. Because you don't follow directions well. You're stubborn. And you think the stuff that you do is not a big deal, but it is a big deal. It's going to set you up for a detrimental adulthood. But you ain't going to believe me now, but you'll believe me later on, though. 16 and 14. And the Pharisees also, who were covetous, heard all these things, and they derided him. And he said unto them, you are they which justify yourselves before men, but Elohim know your hearts. For that which is highly esteemed among men is an abomination in the sight of Elohim. See, this is why this is important. This is why this is important. They were covetous because what was he talking about? Their desire for income. Now, what we read in Matthew 23, their desire for income led to the fact of what? Them telling the people lies in order to profit off of them. Pretty much for the most part. You know what I'm saying? But the scribes and Pharisees was worse. Because they were in the temple. And they were telling people, put a gift on the altar and swear by the gift. Thinking that in and of itself. Remember what Mashiach told you? He said, if you and your brother got all, he said, leave your gift at the altar and go get right with your brother first. Because Elohim is not concerned with the gift. The priest is concerned with the gift because they get the gift. So, of course, they're going to say anything that they can to me. This is why Peter them always referred to, you can't preach the word and be greedy or filthy lucrative. They would come up there and make vow. They would, of course, the way that you swear is as Yahuwah lives. That's how you swear. All that I swear to God, that ain't swearing. When you swear, you're going to swear on the name of Yahuwah. So when you read in the text and they say, as Yahuwah say, as I live, that's him swearing on his name. They swearing on that altar that's sanctified for whatever the matter goes. Basically, at the end of the day, they swearing on Yahuwah. And they telling men, but it said, this is how the scribes and Pharisees, technically they swearing on Yahuwah. But the scribes would tell them, you ain't really swearing on them, you just swearing by the altar. So this is why Mashiach let them know what is greater, the altar or the house that sanctifies the altar. Or the gift. Because the gift is sanctified when you put it on the altar because you're offering it to Yahuwah. But we know the law. The priests get all gifts that are brought to the altar. absolve whatever the issue. But the whole thing is, we want the money.
With the person that bring you, they do their fault still? Could they get lied to?
I mean, he say, "Hey, man, shoot, you run to a when that it's not even that they at fault for whatever they offering it to."
But they're not getting lied. They just really profiting off of niggas' fault.
But not even that one there. It could be a free will. It could be anything. They still lying because it's unjust gain. Because you are encouraging individuals to make offers contrary to righteousness so you can benefit.
I was thinking if the nigga bringing a free will offer anyway, what is he lying about? Because the nigga not bringing the free will offer because the police does.
No doubt. But see, you got many offerings for many a thing. It could be an offering for bringing forth a child. It could be anything. But either way it go, they're manipulating the people to bring more offerings so that they can benefit. You know what I'm talking about? Because I don't know if you know that. Everything that is, remember it said, it's in 1 Corinthians 9, the exact words don't escape me. Anything that was offered in the house of Yahuwah, the priest got it. Why did the priest get anything that was offered in the house of Yahuwah according to the law, gentlemen?
Because they didn't have no, that's how they ate.
They didn't have no inheritance. So they didn't have no compensation. That's why you always say, forsake not the Levite, the stranger, the widow, and the child or the fatherless. Because these people didn't have anything. The Levites didn't have no inheritance. Yahuwah was their inheritance. So that's why he established in the book of Numbers that every single solitary offering that come through the doors go to them. Now, can you imagine? That's a strong level of responsibility. You got to be an extreme man of integrity. They was in an ordained position. Prison pastors ain't doing nothing. These are houses of ill repute and houses of idolatry. So that's nothing. Yeah, they using the word to manipulate people to give money, but they didn't come in there and say, swear by Yahuwah on an altar that Yahuwah sanctified for himself in his house and tell them, yeah, do this here so he can get it. You know what I'm saying? But that be that women stuff too. The pastor got to live good. Get the hell out of here. You doing that because he your by proxy husband. Ain't nobody else paying you no attention. Where was that? Oh. John chapter 9 for the last point.
And if niggas don't come ask if the niggas forsaking the Levite and worship for other gods, that means niggas not bring that.
And the Levites ain't getting nothing. Hungry. 9:35. Not necessarily. Because you got a spot in Chronicles where he said, hey man, and the Levites wait on their business. It's slow. But that also show you that Yahuwah provided for them boys anyway. But if ain't nobody coming through to make no offerings, them boys don't eat. Unless they benefiting off stuff that they already had. Or that he allowed them to have. With more better speed. But see, that's a lot of responsibility. This is how they were able to make merchandise out of the people. They were in a position where they could have done that all day, every day.
When they're selling in the temple and Passover.
That's not necessarily the priest.
Okay.
Anybody who had the funds could do that.
Anybody could do that.
Like middlemen, they was the middleman.
It's the problem was the priest let them come in there and do it. You know what I'm saying? See, it's kind of like what I was telling him. Stop stretching your clothes, son. Stop stretching your clothes, son. Lee, man, you want to look like a poo putt, bro? Your collar all stretched out. This is the crazy part. You embarrassed, but your mama used to hit you with multiple combinations and you were never embarrassed. See, you embarrassed right now because you would rather get whooped than to be verbally chastised. Yeah, because that'd be quick. That's why I'm not quick to pull that trigger. Because that's what they want, because they think it's over. You know what I'm saying? Or I do what my people did. They would pull that trigger and then still verbally chastise you and explain to you how your behavior was unacceptable and what would be needed to be done in order to correct that. Because see, the whooping is nothing without the actual explanation of why you're wrong, why you got it, and why you no longer need to behave yourself that way. I'm trying to tell you, do something to their brain. If you just go upside them children's head, they don't, because then after a while, they don't know why you going upside their head. Now they go to thinking they're a human punching bag. Then they begin to resent you all the days of their youth. Then you wonder why they don't come talk to you and do this, that, there, and the third. Them niggas been hating you since they was 6. I'm just telling you what grown people done said about their own childhood. This ain't junk I'm making up. I done heard niggas talk like this, like, man, I hate my mom. You know what I'm talking about? I'm just telling you what I done heard niggas say. This is what I experienced as a child, and this is why I view life like this, and this is why I don't fool with my people. That gives you the ammunition to know when you get a child, don't do them like that. That junk don't work. You know what I'm saying? That junk don't work. See, his feelings hurt. That's the same thing. Let him tell you, hey, I'm embarrassed. Well, why are you embarrassed? Let him go and get it off his chest. He's a human being too. They got feelings and thoughts too. You can't be scared to let them get it off their chest. Get angry because they saying it. Don't be one of the niggas, he being disrespectful. If he got something on his mind, let him get it off his chest. He'll be more inclined to talk to you when he grown. So you can't be thinking about it in the moment. I'm upset and I'm angry. You want that nigga to come talk to you when he grown. Because at least he know, hey, I can tell him I feel embarrassed right now. You should. That's fine. You know what I'm talking about? He want to cry, let him cry. Let it get it all off his chest. He embarrassed, his feelings hurt. He like everybody looking. See, in his mind, he think everybody looking at him. Ain't nobody looking at you. Ain't nobody looking at you. You got something you want to say? You sure? You still feeling embarrassed? I want you to remember that feeling of embarrassment you have right now and let that be the reason why you follow instructions from this day forward so you don't have to feel this level of embarrassment that you feel right now. Because you're only embarrassed because you didn't obey. And that's what the text say. You're going to be looking with what it is. There'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth. You're embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed, son. Just do better. That's all I want you to do is do better. That's it. I can't even ask for nothing more from you other than you put your best foot forward. You don't put no feet forward, though. So I don't know how you walk. John chapter 9, verse 35. Yahushua heard that they had cast him out. And when he had found him, he said unto him, do you believe on the son of Elohim? He answered and said, who is he, Lord, that I might believe on him? Yahushua said unto him, you have both seen him, and it is he that talketh with you. And he said, Lord, I believe, and he worshiped him. Yahushua said, for judgment I come into this world, that they which see not might see, and that they which see might be made blind. And some of the Pharisees which were with him heard these words and said unto him, are we blind also? Yahushua said unto him, if you were blind, you would have no sin. But now you say, we see, therefore your sin remain. Ain't that what that Hosea 12 just said? Ain't that what that 12 and 7 said? Come back to it. He's a merchant. Are not the scribes and Pharisees merchants? The balances of deceit are in their hand. You just seen that in Matthew 23. And they love to oppress. Because he say they don't seek to enter into the kingdom of Elohim, and they don't allow those who looking to get in to get in. Verse 8 of Hosea 12. And he said, and Ephraim said, yet I'm become rich. I found me out substance and all my labors. They shall find none iniquity in me that were sin. That's what they just said in John 9. They didn't have none. Verse 9, and I that am Yahuwah your Elohim for the land of Mizraim will yet make to you to dwell in tabernacles, as in the days of the solemn feast. Now, didn't we just read about a solemn feast? I want y'all to go examine Leviticus 23. Now, you know solemn feast is just simply moed, appointed time, tent of meeting. I didn't want y'all to just quickly. I want you to examine Leviticus 23. I want you to examine each feast day that is mentioned and see which ones mentioned that have a solemn day in it. Just real quick, just examine it real briefly, swiftly. Michael, uncover your face, son. Uncover your face. Come here. Come here. Ain't nobody finna hit you. Come here. Come here. Ain't nobody finna hit you. Come here, son. If I told you I'm not finna hit you, then I'm not gonna hit you. I'm not gonna tell you that I'm not gonna do something and turn around and do it. You need to cover your face. You know why you don't need to cover your face? Because when you were disobeying, you had your face open for everybody to see. Now, because you feel ashamed for your behavior and you feel embarrassed, now you want to cover your face. You don't want nobody to look at you. But you don't mind people looking at you when you don't listen. Why is that? Why is that? Do you understand? Do you know why? Because you don't care. See, now you're sad, you feel embarrassed, you think everybody laughing at you and they staring at you, looking at you. Look at Michael, he's over there disobeying. And nobody thinking about you. So they focus on what you should be focused on, and that's that book. So you wouldn't have been embarrassed, but you would focus on playing with Mordecai instead of focusing on the task at hand. You got distracted. And you were warned. And you didn't follow. You want to cry? Because you look like you want to cry. But your eyes are a little glossy, a little watery. So you're genuinely embarrassed. Sit down and conduct yourself properly and open that text and follow along. Your embarrassment is not a reason to neglect your responsibilities. Did y'all find anything in Leviticus 23? It's just tabernacle. Notice what he said, that he'll cause you to dwell in what? Tabernacles, as in the appointed time. Why is that important? Because in my Father's house, there's many mansions. I go to prepare a place for you. Now, notice how he sandwiched that. He started talking about Jacob, switched to Ephraim, and then came back with this. Because in the midst of these people trying to oppress you and deceive you, I have somebody who took power with Elohim in the womb, i.e. Mashiach taking power with Elohim in the womb, that womb in the grave, therefore grabbing the heel of Satan, therefore having power over Elohim, of Elohim to destroy him and overtake him. So these merchants who love to oppress and make merchandise of you, who have no sin, don't have no power, because in the appointed time, it calls you to dwell in the tabernacle of which you seek to dwell in. Is that not what we all say we seek to dwell in his tabernacle? I'll read it to you again. Hosea 12:9. I, Yahuwah your Elohim, from the land of Mizraim, will yet make you dwell in tabernacles as in the days of the solemn feast. Notice he said, as in the days of the solemn feast. That means that they were not presently dwelling in those tabernacles in that appointed feast. Look at the next thing he says. I have also spoken by the prophets. I have multiplied visions, used similitudes by the ministry of the prophets. Let's look at a few of those words and then we'll move on. First thing first, when you got ministry, guess what Hebrew character you have? You have Yod. So when he tells you by the ministry, it's by the right hand of the prophets, which takes us right back to Romans 16. What you done did to that baby? I know she ain't right. When we look at similitudes, of course, y'all know that is dama. That is to resemble, to liken, or to compare. Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 1. Little bug. That's not you. Son, uncover your face. Michael, uncover your face. You don't need to be looking shame. You don't need to be doing none of that. You're only getting talked to because you ain't following what I'm telling you. Michael, did you know you're the oldest man-child in this room? Did you know that? You didn't know that, did you? That means you're going to be the first one to hit manhood, son. You got to be ready for it. I know right now you think, I wish this nigga just leave me alone. I will not. Hebrews 10:1. He say, for the law having a shadow of good things to come, and not the very image of the things, can never with those sacrifices which they offer year by year continually make the comers thereunto perfect. We only came here for, he said, that the law had the shadow, which means it was something that was like or resembled. Now, we read earlier in the week that Mashiach said he spoke of the temple of his body. He's going to cause you, he's Yahuwah your Elohim, which brought you out of Egypt. In English, Johnny, how does it describe Egypt? When he says, I'm Yahuwah that brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of what? Correct, sir. So when you look at it, he's saying that he is the Elohim who brought you out of bondage to dwell in what? A temporary dwelling place or a tabernacle in the wilderness, did he not? So now he's sitting here telling you, let me ask you this here. Wilderness, by definition, what's the Hebrew word for wilderness? What did they call that place? Do you recall? Is it on your mind? Got to think twice. You can phone a friend. Phone Civic. You can phone Civic. You got a lifeline. You ain't lose them all the last time. Clock ticket. Clock ticket. That nigga said shucks. Civic, he gave you a lifeline. Do you know what they call the land of the wilderness in the law? Oh, shoot, Civic might need a lifeline too. Oh, you can phone a friend. You can phone Tavon. He right there. Phone a friend.
It's like all the way around the world.
Well, he just phoned you, son. What you got for me? He phoned you. He called you. Huh? What? Oh, no. Monte, you know what they called the wilderness? What it was named?
The name of the place?
What about you, sir? Oh, man, this general information. And this man said this earlier tonight. The name of the wilderness is literally sin. Look at Mike. I knew that. I could tell the look on your face that you actually knew that. She was like, I knew that. No, it was literally, I think it's what is it, number 17? It's one of them, but it's literally called, it's pronounced Zin in English. Z-I-N. Hold on, let me grab the verse. What'd you say? Say that again.
I don't think it's designed.
Oh, I would doubt it. Numbers 13. Numbers 13. Numbers 13 and 21. So they went up and searched the land from the wilderness of Zin unto Rehob, as men came to Hamath. The word Zin is sin. Zod and Noon means flat, or also meaning a prick. And you remember what he told Paul. Is it difficult for you to kick against the what? Or kick against sin? That's why it's referred to in that fashion, because they did a lot of sinning out there. Or they did a lot of kicking against the pricks. Back to Psalm 78. We're in verse 4. Oh, she must be tired. She said, you got the milk, you holding out. Tighten up. Psalm 78. Now, we looked at all that with the parables because I want to establish that before we start looking at them glistering stones, precious jewels, and gold in the temple, so you can see that there are parables about you. Because remember, he said by the ministry of the prophets and by similitudes. This is how the prophet Hosea. Do any of you remember where Hosea prophesied at, where he worked at? He was in the northern kingdom. Let me get my memory correct. Jonah was not in the land during the time of his ministry that is recorded. Obadiah was in Judah at the time that his book was recorded. Isaiah was in Judah. Jeremiah was in Judah. Ezekiel was in Babylon. Daniel was in Babylon. Zechariah was in Judah. Amos was in the northern kingdom. Haggai was in Judah. Zephaniah was in Judah. Malachi was in Judah. Hosea was in the northern kingdom also. I feel like I'm leaving somebody out at this time, but if not, it comes. Correct. Oh, that's Samaria. Remember, Mashiach told his apostles, don't go into Samaria. And you remember why? Because the people had been replaced. What are you doing? Uh-oh, your daddy finna get you. That junk finna be ugly. What did she say?
Water. Should have got that good water.
You know, Abigail is stubborn, baby. I'm trying to think of, is there any prophet that I left out? Yeah, Malachi was in the southern kingdom also. Mass majority of all the prophets were prophesied in Judah. And most of them prophesied around the same time. You know what I'm saying? They weren't all stretched out. Zechariah's prophecy was in Judah, and that was during the time that they were in Babylon. You know what I'm saying? Most of all of them were at or around the same time. Isaiah preceded Jeremiah. Isaiah prophesied of them going into Babylon. He preceded Jeremiah. Jeremiah came through and like, oh, you niggas wild, you niggas going. And Jeremiah was there when they went. That's why he had the Lamentations of Jeremiah, because he saw it. You know what I'm talking about? Remember, Jonah was sent to Nineveh, so his ministry was not in the land. Zechariah was in Judah, and Zechariah was around the time of probably a little bit after Ezekiel, because Ezekiel was in Babylon. He was not in the land when he was doing this prophecy. I tell you that. Yeah, you already know Daniel was in Babylon. You know what I'm talking about? I said Zechariah, Zephaniah, all of them were around the same time. That's why I tell you that there was a large gap from Malachi to Mashiach, because that was doing the same thing like you've seen in Samuel, that there was no open vision. So the word of Yahuwah was precious in those days. Yeah, there wasn't an open vision. You know what I'm talking about? I don't know if y'all know that or aware of that, where these men prophesied at and when, but since I mentioned it, we might as well just mention all of them. Matter of fact, let me make sure I didn't leave. That's right. Joel was in the northern kingdom also. But he prophesied about Judah. Yeah, I'm looking at it now to make sure. Yep, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah. Micah was in the southern kingdom also. Nahum was in the northern kingdom. Haggai was in the southern kingdom, because Haggai was at the same time as Zechariah, because that's when they were coming out. Because Haggai is around the time. Haggai and Zechariah are around the time of Nehemiah and Ezra, when on the coming out of Babylon. They're all at or about or around the same time. I know a lot of people want to sit back and talk about stuff with the text, but most of these prophecies and these men who have books of memorial in this book were prophesying around the same time, around the same events. Do you know what I'm talking about? And then after that, it was all to set into play what the son did. The son did what he had to do, and that is it. I mean, honestly, the scriptures do not detail an extensive, detailed, long, drawn-out history of the house of Yasharal. It is just explicit, pinpoint areas in the history of our people to manifest the righteousness of Elohim by way of his son, and that's it. And that's it. Like, it don't really go into detail of every single solitary thing that happened when they were in the wilderness. When you start dealing with Exodus 14 on back of that chapter, it starts dealing with procedure. Yeah, it don't go into all that in the 40. When you get in the book, and I know this is Paul, but I might as well just do it while it's on my brain. When you get to Exodus 14, that's when they cross the Red Sea. Once you start navigating through chapter 15, that's the Song of Moses. Now you start dealing with Exodus 16, 17, 18, 19. This is when this man prepping these people that I'm finna get ready to enter into this covenant with you. Once you get to Exodus 20, he get him 10. And after that, that man start dealing with procedure. Here is statutes and commandments and procedure. And that's what take the rest of that chapter on out, because Exodus is 40 chapters long. You know what I'm saying? And that's procedure. Procedure for the house, procedure for the priest. All of these things is straight procedure. You get to Leviticus, that's all procedure. That's strictly for the Levitical priest. Ain't no bunch of details contained into that. When you get into Numbers, that was the numbering of the people and more procedure. But it was a few more stories in there. When you get to Deuteronomy, it was the rehearsal of the law, the retelling of the law, with the curses mentioned, and those curses are also mentioned in Leviticus. Mentioned in Leviticus 26. You know what I'm talking about? That's the only time he duck off into something else, but he has to because that's procedural. Your curses are part of the procedure. You know what I'm talking about? So then when you get it, because matter of fact, now I think about Exodus had the most stories because he got to enter into, I got to show you in the law how you broke the covenant and I'm going to make a new. And how I'm going to go out on high and be gone for a season and return and execute wrath on all those who disobey me, because I got to show you the fulfilling of Mashiach in the law. That's why all that's in there. That's why all that's in there. When you get to, and say when you get to that, after that, it's Yahushua son of Nun. He bringing them in the land. Then after they get in the land, there's some stories about once y'all got in the land, you niggas was bucking. So I had to give you some judges, aka some saviors, another foreshadowing of things to come, opening up dark parables to be able to deliver you. Then after that, let's talk about the chronicling of kings. So then he starts shooting you that info. Let me get you some history on your king. What you need to know. Because I got to set you up for the king. Then once you get through the Chronicles of the Kings, okay, David got his Psalms. Let me get you some prophecy here. Solomon got his Proverbs. Let me get you some prophecy here. Let me shoot you a little Job in here, because that's another story to show you how to be able to have the patience to endure. Now we slide a little, what her name is, Esther, slide that in there as the only woman besides Ruth who have a book of memorial in the text that is female. You know what I'm talking about? And then that's a different thing, because Ruth was in captivity. And then she left out, and they give a memorial of a just and righteous woman who's also coincide with a man to be able to redeem the woman. That's a whole nother conversation. Then you got Esther dealing with what was going on when you were in under the Medes and Persians, because actually Esther is dealing with the back end of you getting ready to come out of Babylon. Because once you were under the Medes and Persians, that means Nebuchadnezzar them had died and Babylon had been removed from power. That's back end information. You're on your back end on the way out of here. Because how long were you going to be in Babylon? 70 years, and that was it. He said you're going to be here 70 years, and then you coming out. You know what I'm talking about? And then you got Songs of Solomon, you know, this, that, and the third, all that stuff that he wrote. Ecclesiastes, all the stuff that Solomon wrote. That's wisdom. See, that's more parables. That's a whole nother thing. We already know we spent a good long time on Proverbs. And we can spend a good long time on Ecclesiastes. The Ecclesiastes and Proverbs are the same. And that's when you get to all them prophets. And all of those 39 selections that are mentioned were to prepare you for repent, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And then it details the stretch of that 3-year span, what he had going on. Then you get the Acts of the Apostles, because we're going to chronicle some of the things. Remember, the text tell you that man did so many things you couldn't even write them down. The world wouldn't be able to contain the books. So there's no way in the world that we could think that the whole history of Yasharal is chronicled in 39 books. That is insane. He gave you what he needed you to get so you could be able to believe on whom he sent and that you could deliver your soul. And after that, the epistle letters are his writings of men to other people who worship Mashiach. And in the book of Revelation is a conglomerate of all manner of prophecies that were elucidated beforehand, because we done went through that before. Majority, I would say 85% of the book of Revelation, you had already been told it. All it did is just go into greater detail. We just read one of them last night. You were already told that Satan was going to be put into a prison. Told you that in Isaiah 24. You know that, fire going to come down from heaven and take up Gog and Magog. Ezekiel told you that in the 38th chapter. So it's just another witness. The temple being built and the beast worshiping in it. Daniel told you that. Not telling you any different information. It's not new stuff. It's confirming what you had already been told. So if you didn't, that's why he say, if you believe Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. Because if you don't believe what was written, then you ain't going to believe what he said. Psalm 78. And 4. Well, we finna get ready to wrap up anyway. Which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us, we will not hide them from their children, showing to the generation to come the praises of Yahuwah, his strength, his wonderful works that he have done. And we talked about the praises last night with Judah. You're going to show them Yahusha. Yahusha is the praise of Elohim. Firstborn son is always the praise of a man. That's the beginning of his strength. Firstborn son always going to be greater than all the children. See, that's the new stuff. You can't have favorites and this, that, and the third. That's pure and utter nonsense. You know what I'm talking about? And you can see that in the text. Firstborn son always had favor over the other children. You seen that with Joseph. They hated him because Jacob loved him more, because he was his firstborn son from the woman that he loved. He didn't regard Reuben as Reuben was the first by means of inheritance, but of course, you know, he defiled his father's bed. But you know that's in the law that he said he loved Joseph more than he loved all his other sons. Because that was his firstborn son from the woman who he loved. Firstborn son is always greater in the eyesight of a man than any of his sons. Doesn't matter. That's the first one. That's the beginning of my strength. They cannot equal to him. That's impossible. You know what I'm saying? That's impossible. That's not going to happen. That man right there, that boy right there is the beginning of my legacy, the beginning of my posterity, and the continuing of my progeny. I'm going to always hold him in high regard. That just is what it is. That don't mean you don't love your other children. Because guess what? Who the inheritance go to? Whatever left over go to the rest. You know what I'm talking about? But he supposed to get the majority. Why you think Esau was mad? Esau say, you ain't got a blessing for me? He was like, no, nigga, I done gave it. Ain't no blessing to give to you. The blessing go to him. Bless me too. I was like, shh. You know, he went in here from all out of blessings because it went to the first. See, that's harsh when you're dealing in modern times when you mention something like that. We already had a conversation. Ain't no man give no inheritance to his daughter. For what? He only did that if he ain't had no sons. Then she get it. But if he got sons, she ain't get nothing. She get a husband. She gonna benefit from his wealth. What I'm gonna give you something to go take to another nigga? Not just being his family. That's dumb. Nobody did that in those times. Not giving wealth to you to take to another family. Let me give that wealth to my son so he can keep it in the family. Because once you get married, you're no longer your father's. You're no longer a part of that family. You belong to your husband. And of course, you know, there's a spiritual connotation to that. Prayerfully, y'all can catch on to that. You know what I'm saying? That's not just hard because you're not accustomed to it. You're accustomed to a Western way of teaching, a Western way of thinking, and a Western way of living. But in the culture of where you emanate from, these people did not view life in this fashion, and they still don't, those who live over there now. They don't live like that over there. You know what I'm saying? They don't live like that. I don't got no favorites. Shoot, that's my boy. The only way they cut that boy off is if he's stupid. We were just listening to them talk about Anna Nicole Smith, and I didn't realize that hoe ain't get a dime. You know what I'm talking about? But they were like, her son, the son of the man who she married, who was a billionaire, got down with her because he cut him off. You know, it's contrary to popular belief. Most people feel like white people just give all their kids their money when they rich. White people cut their children off immediately. If you don't do what I tell you to do, if you don't follow what I instructed you to do, they will cut you off. They don't care nothing about it. They don't care nothing about it. They don't look at it. My son's not going to struggle. Nigga, you don't do what I tell you to do. You're not going to dictate to me about my inheritance that I'm giving to you. It's parameters that come with this inheritance if you want to be a partaker in it. Is that not the way of Yahuwah himself? Niggas are leaving inheritance to a disrespectful, disobedient, rebellious child because I can't let my children struggle. That's why they mad with Dr. Dre. Are you a billionaire and your daughter struggling? Because that hoe don't listen. Let her die. That's what how people who are rulers, that's how they think. You're not entitled to my wealth. That's my wealth. You want my wealth? Then you're going to follow my ways. And if you flaunt my ways, I will cut you off and give you nothing. Because you're not entitled, especially if you're grown, because I've already provided for you. And if I gave you something to give you a leg up and you piss that away, that's a personal problem. Now, of course, Yahuwah is a merciful man, because you know that from the quote-unquote prodigal son parable, do you not? What did the other son say when he seen his brother coming back? He said, you never killed the calf for me. But what did the father say to him? Do you recall what he said? The father said, son, you've been with me the whole time. He said, everything I got is yours, son. He said, but your brother that was lost, he was found. See, he was more happy that his son returned. But look what he told the oldest son who had never left. Boy, everything I got, that's yours, boy. That's already yours. Because he just was happy his son came back. It didn't change the fact that the inheritance was going to who it was going to. Come over here to Luke 16, because y'all look like y'all know me. I'm mentioning that because he said, give me the heritage of those who fear your name in that Psalm 61. Because he gave the inheritance to the son. You got to understand something, right? He gave the inheritance of the land to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and then he turned around and gave it to you. Now he turned around and said, give me the inheritance of those who reverence or honor your name. So the very heritage that was yours, that was taken away from you, he gave it to the son, and now the son gets to determine who will enter into it. And those who reverence him, they will get to dwell in that tabernacle as in the day of the solemn feast. Ruth be acting like she be in distress. Don't nothing be wrong with you. It ain't Luke 16, is it? Oh, Luke 15. I'm sorry, y'all. 15 and 11. And he said, a certain man had two sons. The younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the portion of goods that fall to me. And he divided unto them his living. That doesn't mean that none of your other sons get nothing. Like I said, but the eldest son is going to get more. And the younger son asked, let me get mine now. And not many days after, the younger son gathered all together and took his journey into a far country and wasted his substance on riotous living. Let's look and see what it says there for riotous so we can know fully what he was doing. What do you think he was out there doing, Stanley? Was it riotous like with Peter with the festivals of Bacchus? Or was he living a different type of riotous? Let's look and see. Riotous here is astose, and that is dissolutely, which is basically extremely reckless and riotous. Well, we could get this here because I got the gist of the definition. I haven't seen dissolutely in a very long time. Dissolutely, by definition, is to be lax in morals, meaning no discipline, no conduct, a drunken, disreputable rogue. So he was living a little Bacchus. You know what I'm saying? And then the other word here is profligately, which is also reckless extravagance or wastefulness in resources. So basically, he was getting drunk, wasting his money. Getting drunk, wasting his money. Which means he was a what? A poor steward. Because guess what he told you? If you ain't been faithful in that which is yours, who's going to put to your trust the true riches? Which is showing you that, again, with the scribes and Pharisees, the only difference is he said, you won't come to me that you might be saved. He said, and when he spent all, there arose a mighty famine in that land, and he began to be in want. And he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country, and he sent him into his fields to feed swine. And he would have fain had filled his belly with the husk that the swine did eat, and no man gave unto him. And when he came to himself, he said, how many hired servants of my Abba's have bread enough to spare, and I perish with hunger? You know what this is dealing you with, right? This is what happens. This is what he's talking about, just in a simple sense. Mighty famine. Now you begin to lack for word. There's a famine in the land. Not of bread, but a hearing of the word of Yahuwah. So now you joined yourself to a citizen of the country to feed swine. So now you unclean because you done joined yourself to the devil. Now you would have filled your belly with husk that the swine did eat, but ain't nobody give nothing to you. Now you begin to bethink yourself, as he told you in 1 Kings chapter 8, you bethink yourself in the land of your captivity, and you return back to your Elohim. Verse 18, chapter 15, I will arise and go to my Abba, and I will say unto him, Abba, I have sinned against heaven and before you. That's the same thing it say in 1 Kings chapter 8. Pick it up by verse 44 in that regard. And I'm no more worthy to be called your son. Make me as one of your hired servants. The humility, like kind of what happened with Manasseh. And when he arose, he came to his Abba, and when he was yet a great way off, his Abba saw him and had compassion and ran and fell on his neck and kissed him. And again, Yahuwah Elohim, full of mercy, long suffering, gentleness, and goodness, and forgive transgression and iniquity. That's what you're seeing right there. You return, he gonna have mercy on you for returning. And the son said unto him, Abba, I've sinned against heaven and in your sight, and am no more worthy to be called your son. The father said to his servants, bring forth the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet. You know what I'm saying? Blessed are those who he does not impute sin, Psalm 32. Because was he forgiven for works or because of mercy? That's what he's trying to show you. So he can come back and what? Dwell in the tabernacle, because that's what we were reading in that Hosea 12, that I am Yahuwah who brought you up out of Egypt, that you might dwell in tabernacles as in the day of the appointed time. So he wants you to return so you can dwell in tabernacles as in the day of the appointed time. Because look what he put on. He put on his what? His best what? Robe. Job 29 tell you I put on righteousness as a robe. Fine linen. That is the righteousness of the saints. And put a ring on his finger. Remember, we just looked at a ring. Seal, signet, covenant. Bring hither the fatted calf and kill it. Let us eat and be merry. Marriage supper of the Lamb. For my son was dead. For this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and he's found. And they began to be married. Because while you without Mashiach, you're dead in your trespasses and sins. But when you've been found, now you'll be made alive, and the Malachim in heaven will rejoice for every sinner that repent. Is that not what the Lord told you? Praise the Lord. Let's continue. Now this elder son was in the field, and as he came, he drew near the house, and he heard the music and the dancing. He called one of the servants and asked what these things meant. He said unto him, your brother is come, and your father hath killed the fatted calf, because he have received him safe and sound. He was angry and would not go in. Therefore came his father out and entreated him. He answering said to his Abba, lo, these many years do I serve you, neither transgressed I at any time your commandment. Yet you never gave me a kid that I might make merry with my friends. Remember, he said the law is made for the righteous man, not for the sinner, not for the righteous man. Remember, he told you the Malachim rejoice over who? one sinner that repent than versus 99 just men who need no repentance. That's what he was trying to get in the under. This is what he's trying to get you to understand. He said, you ain't never did that for me. For what? I given you everything I got because you've been faithful in serving me. But he began to look at, I want the fanfare that he getting. Not looking at, you got a greater fanfare than what he got because you've been faithful the whole time. He said, but as soon as your son was come, which devoured your living with harlots, and you killed for him the fatted calf. He said unto him, son, you are forever with me, and all that I have is yours. It was meet that we should make merry and be glad, for your brother was dead and is alive again, and was lost and is found. He was dead in his trespasses and sins, but now he's alive because look at what he said. He bethought himself and returned. He repented. But notice what he said. He said, son, you always with me. Everything I got is yours. Notice that he didn't say he was giving that younger son an inheritance. He said it was meet that it was necessary we make merry because your brother was dead, now he alive. He said, but everything I got is yours, though. Remember, that's the same thing he told Isaac. He said, he that overcome shall become my son, and I will be his father. He shall what? Inherit all things, because inheritances go to the firstborn son. And if you put on Mashiach, then you're the firstborn son, and you inherit all things just like he would. Because what did he say? You'll be joint what? Heirs. The same way that your wife is an heir with you. Y'all do know I say that, right? A joint heir. You familiar with that? You look like you know what I'm talking about. No. Close. So that's in 1 Peter chapter 3. But we'll stop right here for now. Hallelujah for Yahushua and the word. We bless Elohim for allowing us to have the opportunity to honor him during this appointed time, for the entirety of his appointed time. Continue to give thanks to the Father in the name of Yahushua for that. Yeah, it's being heirs together of the mercy of life. So I appreciate y'all time this evening. Yahuwah willing, we will pop back off at regularly scheduled time on Wednesday at 7:30. I appreciate y'all enduring through the whole week for the word of Yahuwah. May he continue to strengthen God and lead you. Amen, Brother Reynolds. Good to see you. That he may continue to lead, strengthen us, and fill us with his righteousness and his word. And Yahuwah willing to the next one. I ain't got no block. Ain't got no block.